Guys, this headphone, or I guess it's a gaming headset, is $23 at Walmart right now. And the build quality is actually pretty good. It's got the metal yokes and the click, click adjusting. It doesn't creak very much, or if at all, which headphones, 4 times as much as this creak. Um, it's fine. The build quality is fine. There's, a fabric or like a cloth covered cable. The cable itself's bad. A detachable mic. The build quality's fine. This leather, or this plastic, I should say, feels like that really soft kind that will start to peel off pretty quickly. So it's comfortable, but that's not going to last long. For $23 though, the build quality is great. It sounds like doo-doo. I found this headphone actually a few weeks ago thrifting for a couple of bucks. It's the same headphone. It's a little bit older version of it, I guess, because it has the leather or this crappy pleather for the pads, but it's the same headphone otherwise. I'll sometimes buy cheap headphones at thrift stores just to see if I can rob parts or mess with them to make them sound better. But this one, it jumped out to me because I thought the build quality was actually pretty good for a couple of bucks. And when I tried it, when I got it home, I realized why it was a couple of bucks. So I just started kind of playing with it and taking it apart. And I discovered that the 50 millimeter driver in these is not bad. It's just a driver that's been dropped in and not tuned at all. It still has full paper covering over the back of the membrane. So you can usually tune a headphone by opening those up or closing them up. And I opened them all the way up. And what that did was create the bassiest headphones I think I've ever heard in my life. And to make these things even more ridiculous, I drilled portholes similar to like kind of what Dynamic does with the 770s. Those are bassy. These are 10 times bassier than those. These are ridiculous. These kind of remind me of those Skull Crusher headphones with the passive vibrating motor thing in them. Except there's none of that silly wizardry in this. It's just a 50 millimeter driver opened all the way up, portholes, and it vibrates on your head and actually sounds okay. I mean, that kind of a headphone is not my thing. I like, magnetic planars. I like neutral sounding headphones, detailed sounding headphones. I'll even listen to analytical kind of sounding headphones and be happy with them. I'm not a bass head, but it's fun. I think it sounds fun. Sometimes I want to listen to synthwave or some like older hip hop, and I want bass. I want it to rumble on my head. And I'm going to show you what I did to these. Well, we'll do it together with this pair, and I hope it sounds the same. But and we'll probably do it a little bit differently because I want to maintain the mic on this one. So let me walk you through how I do it. All right, first thing we want to do is get the pads off. And these ones, they have like a backing that snaps in, which I actually really like that kind of a thing, especially if it's this kind where you don't need to buy a special pad. You can just use a normal one and cut slots for the clips. So take these off. And then we need a small Phillips to get the fronts off. Of here. Oh, we could pull this mic out so we don't mess it up. The cable is fixed. So you can see the 50 millimeter driver, and this one, interestingly enough, it actually looks like they attempted to tune it a little bit. So there is a difference between these, the ones that I found that are, I mean, it's the same, looks like the same headphone. The pads are different, and the driver looked the same to me, but this one had none of the holes opened up. So it looks like they did try to tune it a little bit. I listened to this, and there's still nothing to really write home about. They didn't sound that much better to me with just those 2 holes opened up. So we might as well just make them fun. Let's turn them into bass cannons. So on the left side, on the cable side, you'll notice that there's like a board here, a chip board, PCB board, whatever it's called, for the microphone. I removed that on the last one, or the first one that I did, so that I could do a detachable cable mod. I'm going to keep that this time because I want to keep the mic this time, and this cable that comes with it has the mic controls, the on and off, and like the volume and stuff. So I'm not going to take that out this time. So I'm just going to stick with the cruddy cable. Okay, so now I'm going to just start removing that backing. You can try to peel the whole thing up, or you could just poke holes where there's already existing holes there. But you need to be really careful, because if you just poke straight through and you pierce the membrane, that driver's done. It will never sound right ever. So I'm going to try to peel these up and see if I can do it that way. So I may speed the camera up while I try to do that. All right, I have these opened all the way up. That sticker on the back is not fun to peel off. There's probably a much easier way to do it. I'm just an idiot. So, yeah. Next, I'm going to try to figure out where I want to drill for the porthole. This is where the mic goes. Because I pulled that out of the last one, I just matched the hole on the other side to it. I think the holes I drilled are a little too big. I'm going to look at what the barodynamic hole is and drill for that. Looks like the hole on the 770s is about 3/16. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to kind of copy them and try to hide the holes sort of behind where the cups attach here. So give that a try. Okay, that should be about it. Can put these back together and see if they sound bassy. All right, so I've been listening to these on my little T amp, which I need to do a video on this thing. I love this thing, but they're not very bassy. And I ended up increasing the porthole size. Didn't make a huge difference. So there's maybe one of two things going on here. Either Walmart has switched the drivers out on this newer version. The drivers look the same to me, but it doesn't mean they are. Or one thing I'm suspecting, and I might as well try, the mic system. I don't know if maybe it's adding too much resistance into the system. Drivers aren't getting enough power. I don't know. For the price, I'm gonna take it apart and see if that helps. If not, then this will just have been an interesting experiment. So yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna get the mic system out. Unfortunately, this project went from almost no tools needed, or this mod, I should say, to needing at least a soldering iron. I'm going to start by removing the mic connection to see if that does anything. I'm not really sure why it would, but I'm going to try it because it's easy. And then the other thing I suspect is the volume control. That's probably where some resistance is coming from. And if none of that works, then I'm guessing they really did change the driver. It looks the same as the first set I did, so I still don't think that's the case. I think it's happening somewhere in the mic controls. So I'm going to desolder here and see if that helps. All right, I have the mic disconnected. I'm going to go listen to these and see if that made any change. Well, no change. So I think I'm going to see what happens when I remove this control. I may or may not do a detachable cable mod on this. First, I'm just gonna cut this out and solder wires back together just to test, just to bypass this, and we'll see how it sounds. All right, I just temporarily soldered the main leads there. I'm going to see if that sounds different. If it does, I may be able to hook the mic back up. So the culprit could have been this volume mic mute control. So we'll see. Well, it didn't make a big enough difference. So at this point, I'm going to try to just replicate everything I did on the first build. I'm going to do the detachable cable mod. I don't know, maybe this cable sucks. I don't know if that would make that big a difference. If nothing works, then they had to have changed the drivers, even though they look the same. They look identical to me, but these are just not producing the same level of volume or bass that the first ones I did. So I'm going to pull that PCB out and put in a jack, a female jack, 3.5 millimeter jack, and we'll see. All right, I'm going to see if that cable was the final culprit. Well, that definitely made a big difference. So I think what's going on here is the stock cable is crap. The other thing that I think is making a big difference is probably porthole placement. I'm thinking maybe where the mic is probably the best spot to drill on both. And then the other factor is definitely the pads. These are just, I don't know, the sensation of vibrating is enhanced with these over the cloth ones on the newer version. So if you can find the older version, I think this one is probably the best to mod. Or if you're going to do what I did with this newer one, if you can find some leather pads, which I think you can use anything. If you put some leather or like pleather pads, that's going to enhance it. So what I'm going to do now is hot glue the jack in, hot glue the mic hole closed, put everything back together, and then I'm going to try it with the pleather pads to see if it sounds like this first one I did. All right, we're finally there. Yeah, that ended up being more mods that I wanted this video to be about. I would say that you don't have to do everything I just did. If you simply take the paper backing off the drivers, just that alone is going to make these sound a lot better. If you want them to be crazy bass cannons, then you'll probably need to do everything I just did. The other thing I did was I put the pleather pads from the other one on here. So if you can find the older version of these that has the pleather pads, that makes a big difference. These vibrate more. The feeling, the sensation of vibrating more with these pads. You could also just buy pleather pads because you'd be able to put them on. You'd be able to put them on there. These aren't special. They're just normal pads. I think if you want to keep these as a gaming headset, you can do that. You can keep the cable. You can just turn these into a better headphone than they are out of the box by taking the sticker off the back of the driver, or if you want to, you could play with tuning. So opening up specific holes one at a time, listening, getting a sound signature you like. If you take them all the way off, you're going to get a lot of bass. If you drill portholes, if you replace the crappy cable, you are going to get probably the bassiest headphones you've heard outside of headphones that have some gimmick that adds bass. So for $23, if you're looking for a fun project, if you just want to play with something, to mess with the tuning or whatever, I think it's a great price for trying out modding, or just improving a cheap headphone. So thanks for watching.